What's good? Oh, I like them glasses, girl. You on mute. I like them glasses, girl. I like them glasses.
Hey, look
Boom.
at that.
That's what's up. You got them Spike Lee's on today.
Yes, yes. I'm trying to do my best Papa Keith impersonation, so I have on
Oh,
my glasses.
there you go. Oh man, great to see you.
Great to see you too. See, I put these on. Like, if y'all see me with stuff on my head, that means I'm just not fully like glam. So this is my way of feeling presentable without having to do all the work.
Well,
If that
listen,
makes
I ain't gonna lie. You sometimes I have a meeting with you and I see you do another podcast for High Low News, and you do a lot of stuff, sis. So you
I be tired. I be tired, but I'm trying. What I'm trying to do is find ways to show up without having to do so much work to do these type of things, like to do my podcast. So
right, right,
tonight
right.
I'm testing out my look. This is I call this like you said, Spike Lee. This is my 90s realness right now. I bought these glasses because I felt like they felt like a different world. Like I feel like an extra in
Yeah,
a different world.
that's what it gives. It gives.
So okay, that's what I'm going for. Thank
All
you.
right. All
Thank
right, there
you.
you go. There you go. Shout out to everybody that just spammed on WhatsApp. Hello.
Hey, I saw a spike in the view. So hey, y'all from WhatsApp.
But listen, while we have your attention, it's very important. YouTube pulled the whoop de whoop on us. So it used to be like 300 subscribers. Now it's 500 subscribers you got to get. So please, if you haven't done it already, right now, everybody tapped in, please subscribe right now. Even if you got to jump off and do your thing and just at least give us that, subscribe. And we appreciate that to the max. We're going to get the show started. We have two amazing guests. But I got to introduce my amazing co-host, Janae Tate. She is the founder and publisher of High Low News, a hyperlocal news that brings you not only news, but entertainment and straight facts. She likes to kind of coin it, not your grandmama's news. You know what I mean? So she going to give it to you raw and real. Was there any way she knows how? You know what I mean? So please check out, subscribe to High Low News, man. It's really, really good. It's where I get my news from, where I find out what's going on. Because me and radio, I got to deal with all the craziness with Nicki Minaj and SZA and all this crap, right? But these things unfortunately blind us to things that are more important that happen in our community. And at least I can rely on High Low News to deliver that to my doorstep, to my phone, to my email every day. Thank you.
Why, thank you for that. Though you know what, you do such a great job at sharing what High Low News is all about, and thank you for that warm intro. And yeah, as he said, I'm the founder and proprietor of High Low News, and yeah, we're South Florida's only news site dedicated to Black and Brown millennials and just the community as a whole. So everything from events and culture to politics and government, we have it for you. And PK, tell them a little bit about Just Vote Period, because that's one of our sponsors or people who underwrite this project that we're doing with That Park Podcast.
Absolutely. So Just Vote Period was something I founded because I wanted to get millennials involved with democracy and getting them registered to vote and stuff like that. It took me a long time to understand the importance of voting. I thought my vote didn't matter. I was just like a lot of them, disconnected. And then when I got a whiff of it and got involved and connected with Janae, I saw things a lot differently real quickly. So I got, really energized by that and decided, hey, let me use my platform to spread the word, to get these youth involved so we could reshape a lot of the things and a lot of the subjects that we have to talk about on our podcast today. If we get them registered to vote, if we get them involved in democracy, then maybe we won't have to be dealing with some of the crap we got to deal with, right? So
Yes.
please follow Just Vote Period on Instagram. We appreciate you so we can update you on where we're going to be, what we're going to do. We actually partnered with Hilo, which I want to do every event now with Hilo. We actually did the the HBCU picnic over the past weekend. Shout out to Crystal holding it down. But we do team up. She has her podcast area. It's beautiful. And we have the photo booth, and we're giving out fans and rags and T-shirts. And I think it pairs well together,
No, it definitely was a vibe, and it was good to have like you guys right next to us, and just having that support and being able to be there together. And we both have some really dope tents. I'll have some pictures up. We have stuff on our story, but we're gonna have some pictures up as well, so you guys can see our recap of our experience at the South Florida HBCU picnic. Shout out to Matthew and Josh, and sorry, I always forget their third co-founder, but the three of them who started that event. Thank you for allowing us to be out there and be a media partner. And because of that event, I was asked to do another event this weekend that I did not plan to do. The Family Reunion Festival, powered by Commissioner Keon Hardeman and Commissioner Suarez. So you guys will see us out there this weekend,
Can I
activated.
piggyback?
You said it. I just was like, dang. But let's talk, because you already know.
All right.
How we doing stuff now. So
Yeah,
I don't think
sure.
I don't think it'll be a problem.
That's what's up. Yeah, we don't cause no harm. We're just trying to register people to vote. But listen, man, we have a great show for you. You ready to get started, Janae?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Let's get right into it, man. We have two amazing guests tonight. We're honored to have them. Both of them bring lived experience and deep expertise on this ongoing fight for immigration justice and community empowerment. One of our guests, Vanessa Joseph. She is the city clerk of North Miami and a passionate immigration attorney who spent years advocating for South Florida's most vulnerable. From detention centers to courtrooms, she helps thousands understand their rights and gain access to legal support. She also is a public relations professional who has used her voice to amplify artists, brands, and because that matters most, of course, the community, our community. Big ups to her. Glad to have her. Also joining us today, my brother, Florida State Representative Wallace Aristide, a lifelong educator. All right, shout out to my educators out there. Community leader who was elected to the Florida House in 2024. Representative Aristide has spent 35 years shaping minds in our public school systems, including being named Principal of the Year in 2014. He's a proud member of the National Haitian American Elected Officials Network, 100 Black Men of South Florida, 5,000 role models of excellence, and a passionate advocate for youth and families. Ladies and gentlemen, our amazing audience, please welcome Representative Aristide and the lovely Miss Vanessa Joseph Esquire.
Hey, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's what's up. You look so far away, Rep.
I know. I'm like, where is he?
I want to pull you in, man.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. And then tell him to turn the camera sideways, landscape. Yeah, and let it flip. There you go.
All right.
Yeah,
I see the full smile.
Yes. All right, we're not hearing you, so we got to get your microphone or your volume working, and then we good. And then we are good to go. But we are glad to have you both. Thank you so much for taking the time. And I know this was a last minute cry and call to you, but it's for a great, great cause. As you know, a lot of stuff is going down in our administration that is just bringing changes on a daily basis to a lot of people's lifestyles. And we have such a huge Haitian population here in South Florida. Even if you're not Haitian, you know someone that's Haitian. There's no question about it. You know someone that's Haitian. You know whether it's a friend, a coworker, a restaurant you go to, someone you at the gym. You must know a Haitian living in South Florida. So this definitely affects all of us. And so, Janae, we'll let you jump things off.
Well, let's do a test of 1, 2, because our questions are geared to both of our guests. So can we see if Rep Aristide is good to go? Can we get a test of 1, 2? No, we can't hear you yet. Look, this is live, y'all. So this is how it go. Like sometimes, we got to get the technical support right on the go.
He just has to connect his microphone to the phone. Yes, to select it. But shout out to everybody on my Instagram too. Yeah, appreciate y'all. Let me bring that democracy to that madness on Instagram. Give y'all a break from all the Nicki Minaj and SZA beef crap and get into some real things that's gonna shape your life. You know what I mean?
That part.
Let me
That
mix
part.
some good stuff with the ratchetness.
Definitely. And you know what we could do, just as they're still getting the technical support together, if we need to go back to a question or Rep Aristide wants to go back and share his thoughts, we could do it that way just so we could keep the ball rolling. But Rep Aristide, we're not gonna forget about you over there, okay?
Not
As
at
you
all.
guys get it together. But I like as PK said, we wanted to make sure we had this conversation. And it seems like every season, unfortunately, there's something that's in national news and also to affect South Florida with our Haitian brothers and sisters. And so it's just apropos that we have this conversation, especially everything that's going on with ICE and TPS. And so my first question was, Vanessa, you're a Haitian American and you bring lived experiences to your work. How has that background shaped the way you advocate for the Haitian community, especially on issues like immigration and TPS? And then also, too, can you let people know if they don't know what TPS stands for, like just kind of give them a little bit of a background on that?
For sure. So, me personally, and first of all, thank you so much for allowing me to even inviting me to even come here on this platform to share with you all and your audience. And personally, I am so I am the daughter of Haitian immigrants who arrived in the United States in about the 80s and left, went back to Haiti, and then came back. And so when I think about the advocacy that I do in this space, it's really not just about my profession and the career path that I chose, but it's really rooted in the fact that I feel called. I feel it's my calling, it's my duty to serve my community. And so for the past about 15 years, I've supported immigrants from across the globe. So it's not just Haitians, right? It's
Mhm.
anyone from anywhere, because I really believe that everyone deserves the opportunity to live freely and safely, regardless of where they come from. And when we think about what is happening, I think it's really important to center all immigrants, but it's important for us to also focus just on Black immigrants, right? I think for Haitians, we're seeing it. It's magnified for us because of the population that we have here, but we can't forget that there are folks from Sudan, from Cameroon, who are also suffering, right? In the midst of what is happening and have been suffering for years as a result of how we are essentially ignored sometimes in these conversations. So I really applaud you all and thank you all for having this conversation. And so, when I think about my Haitian roots, right, I think that the upbringing that I had and an upbringing that really instilled this deep connection to Haiti, its history, the fight for freedom, and not just the fight for freedom for Haitians, right, but for all Black people, regardless of where they were at the time. And so I think that that's the same spirit that moves me in this space, making sure that we're not overlooking Haitian voices and we're not silencing the voices of Black migrants whenever we're having these conversations about immigration or justice or human dignity. And TPS, for those who aren't aware, is temporary protected status. So it's just a benefit that folks from a country who is reeling from maybe natural disasters or civil wars or any circumstance that makes it difficult or nearly impossible for folks to return back to their home country. They could be designated TPS, and it's again temporary. It's for 18 months, but it can be extended and it can be redesignated. But a lot of folks, think about temporary and think that it should just be the 18 months or whatever the initial allocation is. But really, when you're looking at temporary protected status, you can't just, go back to things as they were if the country has not improved its conditions in such a way that it would be able to welcome its nationals.
Mhm.
That's what's up. Thank you for addressing that. You got any follow up on that, Janae?
No, she broke it down perfectly.
Broken on down. A recent federal ruling extended uh, TPS protections for Haitians through February 2026. While that's a relief, it's still temporary, right? Like you just mentioned. What kind of toll does it take, like an ongoing toll on Haitian families trying to build stable lives here? Like, I can't even imagine, living on that edge.
So the recent extension that brought it back to the original expiration of February 2026 is something that we have to consider is temporary just by its very nature because it's expiring early next year, but also the government has the potential to appeal that case, right? And so folks are living with this sigh of relief on one end because they're listening to the February 2026 deadline, but us as practitioners and folks who are in this space, who work in this space, also are thinking about, well, if the government decides to appeal the case, could something come out sooner that would cause it for whatever reason to be, terminated earlier?
Right.
And so, going from what a September deadline as they tried to move it up to February is definitely a sigh of relief, but it's again a temporary peace of mind that folks are having. But you can only imagine what it must feel like to live from extension to extension. And
I
when we're
can't.
right. And when we're talking about 18-month extensions and knowing the conditions of the country and knowing that as a result of the conditions of the country, it will probably need to be redesignated or extended, right? That's one thing. But when we're thinking about a situation where we're talking about 6-month extensions and looking at the climate right now, the political climate, what I think we're seeing is folks who are living under chronic instability. And if you are a parent, it's multiplied. And we have to always remember that children, when they go through traumatic experiences, and I think the research is well documented that having to watch your family be separated or feeling the anxiety of your parents or hearing these conversations around you about essentially worst case scenario, end of times planning, right? The research is well documented that that is trauma for kids, and kids have a tendency to internalize stress in a way that we might not, right? So we might go out and do something, folks have various different ways to cope with their stress. Children do not have those same mechanisms. They have not yet developed those same tools. And so it's really important to understand the ways in which this is going to have a significant mental health effect on our children: anxiety, depression, just the insecurity. So when you think about kids, they just want to feel normal and safe. They don't want to have to hear these conversations about, where their parents are from and how it's so poor over there, or what's happening over there, or the fact that they are now regarded as second-class citizens. And here are their parents who are trying to build stability, and everywhere they turn, it's like, is my ability to even stay here a constant that I can rely on? And it's not. So we're talking about families, and we'll probably get into this in a little bit, but we're talking about families who've made significant investments here, right? Over the past 10 years, have started businesses, are taking care of our children, are teaching our children, are helping us give birth to our children. And it's robbing families of a chance to plan, to invest, and to even dream long term about what their future and what their children's future could be in this country. And so when parents are living in limbo, their kids are growing up in fear.
I want to follow up on something, if I may, Janae. What if, so let's just play advocate and say, well, if it's temporary, shouldn't there have been some type of messaging with this process where, you don't have that level of comfort knowing that it's a temporary types of situation? Again, my heart goes out. I'm just, I like to bring up questions that, maybe a little pokey, but people will think of. Like, so if you know that it's a temporary situation, then why would you treat it like a permanent type situation? Do you think that there should have been some education, or maybe people got comfortable with just certain things and now it's like, wow, bam, like the rug getting pulled from under? Respectfully.
Yeah, listen, it's a fantastic question. And I think your role is to ask that question, right? Because it's the question that a lot of people would have on their minds. Here's the situation. We're talking about a temporary protected status that clearly defines its purpose, right? And if we cannot send people back home because the conditions are so dire in their home country, then we have to create this status. We also probably have a duty to stop meddling in the affairs of that country so that they
Mm.
can reach a point of stabilization. And I think what happens is that sometimes we're thinking about this in terms of the benefit that we're giving people from these countries, and we're never asking ourselves what took place that made people want to come to this country, right? People don't just migrate to countries at random, right? I think it's clear that there's always been maybe an economic type of incentive. But, folks, for example, were traveling to Brazil to build the stadium at one point, right? But there's also this idea that people will migrate to the places where they might have some familial connections or they have connections with the language. This is the case with the United States. You have a lot of Haitians living here. They have family here. People might migrate. People will also migrate to the country that told them how to live their lives because it's so good where you're from. This is where I got to go get refuge because you told me this is how we supposed to be living. So let me go live that. And so, yes, temporary protected status is temporary. Yes, people are told that. They understand that it's a status that does need to be renewed. But unfortunately, the conditions in Haiti have not improved. Right. And the United States often plays this game where it's like, yeah, we won't interfere while they're interfering, and then tell us that, well, Haitians were the ones who said they don't want our interference, but you're still interfering. You're just not doing it under the US's name. And so there are these games that are often played on this like geopolitical landscape that I think sometimes we don't take the time to unpack. And so we're just thinking, well, you shouldn't be here like on this cycle of TPS getting it renewed all the time, but conditions back home are not improving at all, right?
Right.
Nobody really wants to leave home.
It
You
was
leave
like
home,
it was like
you have to.
literally after Trump said, "Oh, things are better over there." The next day, there was a situation with the hotel, right?
But they
I
told
mean,
they told you you can't travel to Haiti.
yeah,
Right, but it was fine enough for us to send a deportation flight just today with 100 folks, right? It was okay to do that, but you shouldn't travel there. And so there's like this mixed messaging that's happening, and I think it's important for us to open our minds to that as well.
yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for addressing that.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hopefully you can hear. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh boy, we finally made it. Listen, my heart was beating fast, but I wasn't scared because you had my attorney, the lady I turned to. See, the young lady you have, that's who I turn to for legal advice. That's what she does. She practices law. She has been somebody I've been in contact with anytime I wanted to make sure I knew what I was talking about when it came to people's status. And she's helped me tremendously. We've done some town halls or workshops together to be able to connect and really communicate effectively with the community. And Vanessa, I appreciate you, family. I'm truly
Appreciate you.
grateful for what you've
Thank
done for me, Papa. Keith, my goodness, Janae Tate. Y'all done put me with the celebrities. I'm with the celebrities tonight.
Oh no, please. You're the celebrity. I know you from your days of education and now what you're
Um,
doing in politics. So you definitely are very popular in these streets. So I'm really glad that you joined us. And I think it was a really, really great timing because my next question is about politics and federal not federal government, but the government as a whole and what they can do in this matter. And I know immigration is a federal issue, but state and local leaders also play a role. How are you serving community-based or local government efforts help towards TPS holders navigate to help TPS holders navigate this moment? And Rep Aristide, we could start with you on that because that's right
Well,
up your
I'm
alley.
glad you started with me because you said I just got to the house. The first thing was on the docket was immigration. In
Really?
January, yes, that's the first thing we had to deal with when we got there. In January, we got there, we were in committee weeks. And when I walked in, all I kept hearing in my ears, immigration bad, immigration shouldn't be here, immigrants a bunch of criminals. That's what I heard. But imagine
Mm,
me growing up in Miami-Dade County inside of an immigrant family, what people were saying, I never saw it. So we have somebody come and we're debating, and the debate was, and my heart goes out to that person. They lost their child. They blamed it on the immigrant. When they did, the
Mm,
immigrant had an accident with
mm,
the child lost his life. So the
mm,
person comment was, if the immigrant wasn't here, this wouldn't happen. I don't know. I had to go ahead and let people know, the immigrants I know, the people I grew up with, the people that are struggling, that are working, that are sacrificing. Immigrants I know go hungry to make sure their child get the best education possible. Immigrants go without nothing. Imagine you growing up in a household with immigrants and the parent is told, listen, you can get some support. You've got 2 children. We can help you. You can get some help from the federal government. That parent said, I don't want to help nobody. I'll struggle. I'll make it happen. I'll make it work. So I had to let them know about these immigrants, these people that work. You probably saw this on a show called the Uglies. They call them, you know what show, you heard about the Uglies. I got
mhm.
5 jobs, man. This is how these people operate. They work night and day. They sacrifice. They do everything to help their family. And if you heard my first speech and I talked about it, I said there's 2 sides to every story. You could present something to make people believe all immigrants are criminal. I could present something to show you immigrants that every day bring value add, make the place they live better, have an impact in Miami-Dade County, had an impact throughout South Florida. I will say this. I remember in 1995 became the first Black coach in North Miami Senior High School. They didn't have one before I got there. And I
Wow.
went to a meeting in the city of North Miami, Vanessa, and you had Mayor Howard Premier, everybody was there. Those people say, thank God the Haitians came here. For the very first time, we got 50,000 residents in North Miami. So when you talk about people that make a difference, immigrants make a difference. So this bashing, I always try to change the narrative and talk about immigrants in the light that I know that are being effective, that are making our communities a better place to stay. I mean, we've got some of us here, we come from immigrant families, me, Vanessa, Papa Keith, and I don't know about Miss Tate, but I know we come from that
Somewhere in the
background.
in the family tree, my great grandma and
Your great,
granddad, they're Bahamian and Haitian.
so you get it. You
Mhm.
understand it. And this is something that I want to make sure that I make clear. When you talk about immigrants and you talking about these people are criminals, I'm looking at people trying to cut people yards. I'm looking at immigrants that go and listen to me now, they go into old folks' home. They're in a nursing home. They're cleaning, taking care of people. Somebody called me. He said, listen, I've got a bunch of people here that speak Creole. Come on over here and talk to them. I talked to those people. They were taking care of that man like he was a king. He was so happy. He was like, thank God these immigrants here. So I'm just, I think people need to hear that. Let's go back to your question. Could you repeat it one more time? Let me close it out quickly.
No, we were asking like, what are some what role do state and local leaders play,
Yes.
and how are you seeing community-based or local government efforts to help TPS
Organization.
holders
So I'll
navigate this
say this.
moment?
Let me say on the state, you know what's happening in the state of Florida. You've seen detention center built in Everglades. I mean, I'm $450 million
Mhm.
that's being paid for that. You've seen things that have been put in place here in the state of Florida. The state of Florida wanted to be number one throughout America to have an impact, which is a little. I won't lie to you. I walked in, I was sort of surprised. I thought this was more or less of a DC situation. Didn't expect it to
Mhm.
be a state of Florida situation. That's why it surprised me. So what we've done is we've, from our vantage point, the group I work with, we've pushed back on things that we needed to push back on. We've lent our voice. One thing, we have a voice. We know we're a super duper minority. 87-33. So we've got to go ahead and really let folks know what we feel is right, what we feel is wrong, and we connect. And I won't lie to you, I've called people at the DC level. I don't want to mention their names because I'm reaching out to them. I'm reaching out to office. I'm reaching out to Congress people. here in South Florida. I'm reaching us. We got 2 senators reaching out to those offices and saying, listen, how do we work this for? And you heard Vanessa, we're sending people to where? To what? To go lose their lives? That is a concern of ours, and that's something we're working. And we're working with. I'm working with Vanessa and her team, Neon, to see what we can do collectively to be able to help our people in this community.
Wow. I want to follow up on something, Janae, because I just got this. Actually, I I ran into Commissioner Monestein today, and he sent me this article about the Florida Republican bipartisan bill offering legal status to certain undocumented immigrants. Are you both aware of this? I
Yes.
think Rep. Maria Salazar.
Yeah.
Right.
Congresswoman Maria Salazar, the 27th
Mhm.
district. She's
Yeah.
working a bipartisan bill, and maybe Vanessa have more information with 20 folks. They're looking at something if you've been here for 5 years and you're an immigrant, because we have people out. I didn't even notice, Vanessa, maybe you could help me out. We have people that's been on TPS for over 20 some years.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wow.
let me tell you the concern. They've been here long. They've built homes. They've paid taxes. They've been working. I mean, they have invested and poured everything into this country. When I say a value add, that's a value add. They've done businesses that are very successful, and they've been here 20 plus years. So I think that is a start. I do have some concerns, people that's been here less. And I know Vanessa talked about it, but when you came here in TPS, you didn't cross no border illegally. You came here legally. You were able to come on a flight, land to whatever the destination. You have 500,000 people in TPS. I think about 100 or 118 or whatever it is, 19 in the state of Florida, which has the majority of TPS folks. So, and most of them probably here in South Florida, maybe some in Orlando. But these people came here, and I was one of those folks that every time people had a question, I call a young lady that's an attorney called Vanessa Joseph. How do we help these people? So let's be clear, but I'm glad they're looking at it. And Vanessa, I don't know if you want to incorporate more information on it, but I'm happy that this office is doing it, and we've reached out so we can get more information from my office.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think that, I want to go back to your original question, because I think it's a great one, and maybe the rep is being a little bit, humble around the work that he's done. So, when this first started to really create a panic within the community, I'll say, Rep. Wallace Aristide was out there hosting town halls and conversations, educating not only those folks who are affected, but also educating folks who were part of larger groups or organizations that were able to carry on the message, right? And so having conversations with folks so that they understood what was happening at the time and things like that. And I think that it's really important to highlight the fact that these organizations and local leaders are doing this critical on the ground work, right? That is necessary to make sure that people have an understanding of, legally, what is it that you're able to do? What are the resources that you could take advantage of? How do you protect your families? What are the rights that you have? And even in some cases, organizations have really had to step up access to mental health supports for the folks that they serve. So I think it's extremely, extremely, extremely important to make sure that folks realize that these things are happening. And sometimes it's difficult to have some of those conversations because of the climate. People are afraid. People may not come out, but it's still, however many people can hear that message and then carry it on to other people who may need it, I think is extremely important. And immigration is a federal issue, but the impacts are definitely local, and I think we feel that. And the rep just mentioned something, about folks having had the status for 20 years and having made those investments. Thank God that they did, because it is those investments into our community that have shaped economies within some of our communities. That is why we have billions in tax revenue from this group of folks who have been TPS beneficiaries for however long. And so they're not a burden, right? And so it's in this time, after everything that they've given, that we have to step up as a community to support them. And I think that what's even more important to highlight at this time are those people, those, entities that may not be formalized groups, but have come together to meet the moment. And there's a group that had started to have conversations in North Miami, and I think they had one up in Broward somewhere. And I think they call themselves, just a collective of people, Haitian advocates. And I think it's important to highlight efforts like those, because what it is that people are realizing that each and every single one of us has a role to play in this moment. And a lot of time gets wasted when people are just criticizing each other for what you can and can't do under the constraints that leaders have at this time. And so this is a time for us to build. It's not a time for us to criticize. So you have community groups who are on the front lines. You have local leaders who are on the front lines. Let's back them up. Let's focus on the work that is being done, and let's focus on where we can see ourselves in that work. So I just wanted to kind of mention that, because I think some of that is lost on us when we're just talking about, what is happening, but we're not realizing that people are really realizing that they have a role to play. And so we should all be thinking about what our role is. So, back to the bill, it is a bipartisan bill. I think it's the Dignity Act for Rep. Salazar. And there's another representative, I think it's Escobar out in Texas. And
Yes.
it's essentially trying to, meet the issue of border security and helping to the Dignity and Dream Promise and the Dream Act. And then, of course, making sure that there is reform in some of these different areas. I think that it's important for us to support any efforts that are happening. And I think especially when we show up in numbers, right? Because the clearest pathway, or the goal to me, is very clear, that it has to be a permanent path to citizenship, right? That's what we need. That's clear. That's what a lot of folks understand is necessary, especially when they come to learn the context of what is happening. And so if that's what we want, we have to support these types of federal legislation so that we can see that happen. And it takes us making those phone calls to our congressional representatives, not just the two who proposed it, but to every single one of them. If that's what you believe in, call your rep, because it doesn't happen without pressure from the people. Government at the local, state, and federal level has always been for the people. And so we have to continue to push the message regardless of what is happening, because we cannot allow what we're seeing to stifle our voices. And for people who are in situations where they cannot use their voice, right, we have to do that. And so we have to be the people who show up. We have to be the people who speak up. We have to be the ones that push our elected officials to act. And so I think we've realized what the cost of inaction is. And at this point, we need to realize that the cost of inaction is not just a mass deportation. It is dismantling of families. It's the loss of some of our most essential workers. And I would argue that it erodes the values that this country was built upon. So there's work to be done. And so let's, each and every single one of us, get that work done now. Let's not wait until 2026 to fight, right? Call your reps, support these immigrant and Black-led organizations, and demand that there be a permanent solution for these folks who are living their lives in limbo.
So
Can I
are you guys saying that the bill is beneficial? And then also too, you guys spoke about certain organizations, but you guys didn't give any specifics. So can we highlight some specific
Yes.
organizations that are working around this, and if this bill is
Yes.
beneficial?
Let me just mention Flick. We Vanessa and I worked with them. I thought with Tesla and the whole team, they were very good. Haitian Lawyers Association and others. Vanessa may have some name others, but I know those particular groups came to every time we had a meeting, and they were very supportive, and they gave great explanation. I think the bill has an opportunity I think the bill has benefits. For me to say is the silver bullet, I would be mistaken here. I think Vanessa hit it on the nail. How do we get these people to a path to citizenship? And for me, it's personal. And let me tell you why it's personal. My dad got a call in the early 80s. They said, Mr. Harrison, you've been here for a decade. Are you interested in being a citizen? He didn't even know anything like that could happen. He said, yeah, I'm interested. That's how he became a citizen. I don't see
Wow.
anybody getting a call right like that right now. I think the environment is very different. I don't see that. But if we can get people there where, see, I guess my concern is if I'm paying and I've invested in this country, I've given all to this country. I think the country should say, hey, he or she has done all this and poured into this nation. Let's give them a chance. That's how I would frame that. But I'm hoping that this bill could take some traction and we could begin the help and begin the work. But those that came in recently, TPS, we also need to look at that. But I think this bill is a start.
Mm.
So
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't think that the bill is perfect. It may not be all of the things that I would like to see. It may have things that I would rather maybe not include, but we have to get somewhere. And I think that we have to get to a place where these actions that we see being taken, where it's just rapid and, at a moment's notice, is not what's happening, right? We want people to have due process and things. So I think that that part is extremely important. As far as organizations on the ground, I mean, there are plenty. So mentioned FLIC, Florida Immigrant Coalition, they have a hotline that they operate. It's 1-888-600-5762 for anyone who needs any type of legal support or needs to be connected to any legal resources for immigration, and of course to protect their families, right? Got to make a plan for in case the worst happens. You also have the Haitian Lawyers Association, and thanks to, you had mentioned Jean Monissim, but thanks to his leadership and to the leadership of Daniela Levine Cava, making sure that communities understood, what they needed to do when they needed to do it to be able to protect themselves, right? I think that there's Catholic Legal Services, who I work
Yes.
for. There is FUM, Family Action Network Movement, formerly the executive director was Marlene Bastien, who's now on the county commission. You have a SUNTLA, neighborhood center led by Gypsy Metellus and Leonie Hermanson, who really is working hard to coalesce organizations across the United States that serve Haitian immigrants to provide solutions. So we're not just only focused on what's happening in South Florida. She's talking to folks in Indiana and Ohio, and also providing mental health resources to people in South Florida. And that's what the community organizing is looking like, right? Every organization is finding its, and there's so many other organizations doing work, ACLU's doing work, just so many others. And I think it's important for us to make sure that we're staying tapped in, we're donating to these organizations, we're volunteering. Americans for Immigrant Justice is another one. Just so many organizations are doing amazing work out there, and we should absolutely support them.
one of the things I kind of had an issue with, and this may be just not understanding things properly. What I don't like is reaction when there's opportunity to be proactive, right? And I watched when the immigration, discussions were coming heavy, and it seemed to be more of our Latin brothers and sisters at the time when it first came out, right? And I felt as though like, well, we know what's coming next here. Do we? Do we not? Why are we not having these conversations? Why are we waiting for, Trumpito to say, and then now have the conversations in the town halls? And why can't we better prepare for these situations when we know for a fact they're coming? You understand? So again, proactive. How can we be more proactive, with these type of situations where it's not like we wait for something to happen and then now it's like we're scrambling and we're sounding the alarm and stuff like that?
So let me start and I'll let Vanessa, she could wrap it up. myself, and the people I was around, we know this was going to be a problem. We started talking about this early. That's why she told you we started bringing folks early on board. That's why we started doing the meetings. I was campaigning. We got done in August, and when it looked like in November we were going to have a problem, we started having those discussions. I spoke to the people that I knew in leadership that I could talk to. Did some outreach. We've had some people that we are part of that reached out to the community. Hey, this is coming. Let's get prepared. How do we help these people? Because we saw it and we saw it coming. And I know we met with Neon. That was like maybe is that early January of Vanessa? It was
Yeah.
before, before the swearing in, and I know that was a lot of the conversation. And some people that we think may be in leadership in the future, there seemed to be a hint that there might be some type of carve out for Haitians, like some other refugees that they're working with, that they're providing opportunities to, and that continues to be my conversation. Because maybe you know, or maybe you don't know, there was a carve out for certain refugees here, especially the ones in Dade County that have a lot of influence. They talked about that, and we wanted to see if there was an opportunity also to look at a carve out for Haitian refugees, since we say they can't go back. If you know the situation over there, you're dealing with gangs, you got a bunch of issues. You go back over there, I just don't see how you're going to survive because the place is in total disarray.
Mm.
Yeah, I was talking to the bishop of a Haitian church the other day, and he brought up the quote when there it was Martin Niemöller. First, they came for the socialists, and I didn't speak out because I was not a socialist. And then they came for the trade unionists, and I didn't speak out because I'm not one of them. And then they came for the Jews. I didn't say anything because I'm not a Jew. And then they came for me, but then no one was left to speak for me. And I think that this is a quote that stands true for us where we are today, right? There's always this idea that, well, they're talking about them and they're not talking about me. And I think that we have to come to the realization that what it's looking like, what the trend is looking like, is that we're trying to get to this picture. And unless you fit that picture, you might be on the chopping block, maybe not today, but soon your turn will come. And so, keeping that in mind, we have a duty, right, to join forces. And I think that this is where community organizing in this space becomes extremely important. It has to happen, it has to be consistent, right? To your point, Papa Keith, we cannot be just reactive. It has to be consistent, it has to be collective, and we have to be focused on the impact. So let's tell the stories of TPS holders when they're able and they're willing to do that. But we also need to have allies, right? Black Americans, Latinos, Afro Latinos, all Caribbean folks, African folks all need to be part of this larger movement that we all need to come together to build so that we could be advocating together at all levels and not just on this issue, because there will be a day when we need to step out again for the criminal justice and other social justice issues, right, affecting Black communities. And I expect that all of those same organizations will be there for that conversation too. And the work that you're doing, Papa Keith, with, Just Vote, and the work that I do at the city, for example, is important. You've got to get people out to vote. I don't have to tell people who to vote for, but I just have to help people understand why it's important to pay attention to the issues that matter to you and choose someone that reflects those values. I genuinely
Right.
don't care who people vote for, but I care that they make an informed choice, right? And so I encourage people, always be thinking and listening to what people are saying. Think about the issues that affect you. Do you want your trash picked up? And I'm talking even at the local level. You want your trash picked up? That's what's happening at the local level. We're not even talking parties at the local level. We're just talking about basic services. What services are important to you, and who's going to be able to make sure that they fight so that you can continue to get those services. So there's that piece, right? Getting people engaged in voting and registered to vote. There's advocacy, right? Policy advocacy. And let's never forget the importance of economic empowerment.
To your point, Vanessa and Rep Aristide, we were talking about like this needs to be everyone's issue. But we know historically there has been division and separation and segregation in a market like South Florida. And so for me, I feel like when the conversation came up about immigration and ICE, and it was a very much a, Latinx Hispanic conversation, and I feel like, especially here in South Florida, where and let's just keep it, we could say Miami-Dade County, our relationship with the Hispanic or Cuban community is not always been the best. There's some friction there, especially when it comes in. So I feel like people shut down and they stop paying attention. And I feel like, to me, to your point, messaging wasn't like, to me, as consistent and strong, where it should have been saying, hey, yeah, this is happening to this group, but don't forget that there's a black immigration group that we need to be paying attention to. And so, have you guys seen that from at least the Black American community, that there's been support? And if not, like, what do you think there needs to be for us to join in and care about this, and not just see it as a Spanish issue, because this is something that affects us all uniquely, especially here in South Florida. But for me, I felt like it was like, oh wait, like Haitians are immigrants, wait, like Nigerians are immigrants, like Jamaicans are immigrants, like wait, they getting them too. And it almost felt like we were too late, to Papa Keith's point, a reactionary. So I would love to know your thoughts around that, and what we could do to build like a better coalition with black people across ethnicities.
Well, let me start because I think when you talk about me, I'm very much an African American community. Anybody knows me, that's a community I've worked at. That's a community I have a tremendous relationship with. In 1979, Carrie Meek was one of the first that came out and fought on behalf of Haitians. She went to President Carter to make sure that there was an opportunity to help Haitians with amnesty. That's Carrie Meek. So that relation has been there. Those that know about the relationship, I think there needs to be more information, more outreach, more connectivity. And I'm just giving my perspective. I really think the people are really the same. Just some of them Haitian Creole, some of them English here in the States, Nigeria, with other place you mentioned, the connectivity is there because people practice something on all people that look like the people I'm looking at on the screen. They practice Pan Africanism because they see everybody the same until they say something, or they might hear an accent, or they might see an outfit that looks a little different. Then they see the difference. I think we need to practice that with one another. We need to practice to understand that we are brothers, we are sisters. Those that don't know, I benefit from being very fortunate to be in existence in both communities. So I benefit from that. That has worked for me. I think we need to connect with other people that may not be the same. They may just, hey, I stick with African American culture. I'm not going anywhere else. Or I stick with Haitian American culture. I'm not going to connect with anybody else. We've got to get people to understand if we come together, we'll have a bigger impact. So if you knew what happened in the 80s, where Haitians were getting beat up
Mm,
over there off of 79th Street. So I was a kid back then. I saw all this stuff. They were getting beat up right at that plaza, right by the railroad track on 79th Street. And
mm,
people started protesting. And when they started protesting, police started grabbing people so they could deport them. The people on the outer circles were African Americans, and they found out, wait a minute, these Americans, we thought they were illegal immigrants. The ones that were illegal immigrants were in the middle. This happened in Miami-Dade County. I think
mm,
people need to learn that history. One of the things I think we struggle from, sometimes we don't have history about one another. We really don't
mm,
know that much about each other. Because a lot of the folks that may say, hey, I don't know, and if you're Haitian American, you don't know me, you might have been somebody that's been here in the last 20 years. If you've been here longer, You've heard the name, especially you've been around education, if you've been around advocacy. So there might be people new that need to be acclimated and need to be educated. And I think we need to mention that to those folks. And then our African American brothers and sisters, we've got to make sure that they know, hey, we're here. We support. See, with young people, when something happened to the African American community, right? You're going to see some students come or some young people come. Their name going to be Jock. They're not African American. You're going to see Pierre. You're going to see Louis. This has been my experience. I'm not telling you something. I can only talk about what I know. I just feel more comfortable. I've seen that. So I worked at an institution at Miami Northwestern, and there were kids, young people that came there. They had a problem in a hurricane, earthquake in Haiti. They had a problem with the storm that happened in Freeport, the Bahamas, and they were in the school. And when they were in the school, there were people that I thought was their parents. They were not their parents. They were African American families that took on these children. Happened in Miami Northwestern. These people took on these children, and they were not their children. Somebody they heard told them about it. This kid got stranded. The parents got lost. Whatever natural disaster happened. And they were in my school, and they were thriving, and they were flourishing. People need to know that, because there are people doing that. They may not be advertising, telling everybody I'm doing it, but that is happening. I just think if we sort of make sure we have that connectivity, and it's got to be intentional that we connect with one another, because I think that will help us to know folks know, listen, now, it'd be like Carrie P. Meek. She made that call. She called a board member. She told her, listen, Rivers of Mendengar, they got our brothers and sisters down there. Let's go and check on it. In Chrome, it happened. These things have occurred, and I think people need to know that.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think he hit it right on the head, especially with the piece about our history. And when Haitians first got to South Florida, it was the African American community, Black American community that really embraced Haitians and helped them to get acclimated to their new environment, inviting them to their churches, right? So that piece of history is extremely important. And for whatever reason, human nature, not sure why, but we tend to focus on the things that divide us rather than thinking about what is it that unites us. Because when people see us outside, if we're all just, if people are just looking at this and neither one of us opened our mouths, it's just for Black people.
That part.
You have to have a conversation to know whether this person is of Haitian descent, is Haitian, maybe an accent is going to alert you. But there is nothing just by looking at us. I mean, I don't know. I got a little wide nose. I got a, I don't know if that's a tell. I don't know. But, but besides that, like generally people are just going to look at you and say that, oh, this is a Black person. So it's important for us to realize that even the racial profiling, right, it affects all of us, especially in these times, right? So an assumption can be made about a lot of us if we're just in North. What if we're all in, we're sitting in Little Haiti, we on 62nd, we all Haitian. That's all they're going to see. Right? Because we just happen to be in this area at this time and we're Black. So we have to think about that piece. The other thing that, and I just had a conversation with somebody about this, a Cuban man, we were talking about migration just broadly. And, I mentioned to him that oftentimes we struggle to come together on things because people don't realize that the struggle of your neighbor, the person that you ride the bus with, the person who, picks up the trash at your school, the person who's a nurse at this hospital, their struggles are inherently tied to my struggles. I think a lot of us who have compassion have difficulty watching another person suffer and being able to just go on with our day as normal, right? And I think that sometimes we just we think about it, we're like, well, we're not in this situation. And so it has zero effect on me. And those are the things that create these further divisions. And then you hear the narratives of people telling you that we are in fact not the same. And when we think about what's happening with the whole birthright citizenship conversation, think about that. Think about the fact that what we're saying is that there's essentially this underclass of people that can potentially be created because they're born on this soil, but because their parent was not American at the time of birth, they are not American.
Mm.
So, I mean, think about that, right? And so we really have to start or stop thinking about all the things that make us different, where this person's parents came from, the language that they speak in their home, and start figuring out how we can build those bridges. And once we build those bridges, because it is Miami, we have these like really segmented communities, let's stop that. And I say it all the time, especially when I'm part of like an organization or a group that does something in Florida and statewide groups. I always encourage them, y'all got to get out more. You can't just keep doing things in these pockets and not exposing people to all of what Miami is. Y'all got to get out more. Whenever I'm part of an organization, if there's potential to move around, I like to make my colleagues go to things that they would not typically want to go to, like an area that they're not familiar with.
Change
Because
their perspective.
you have to start getting to know other places and other people, because otherwise you're always going to think that there's a them and then there's a you, and that's not the reality. We're literally, I know it's cliche, but we really are in this together, and we have to start standing shoulder to shoulder for justice, because today it is them, tomorrow it is you, and after that it'll be me.
That
Straight
part.
up. Mm-hmm.
Let me interject this, and I'm glad you said that, Vanessa. As an educator, what I would do is I would take teachers that they're not even from here, they're from the Midwest, they're from somewhere else. We get on a bus, because see, when they drive, they get off 69th Street, they go to the school. When they leave, they get back on 69th Street, jump on 95, go to the school. I would take them in the Liberty City community to see who these children are, where they come from, to get a better idea of what type of students they're dealing with. And that was so, I mean, I didn't create that. I got it from a guy called William Aristide with that idea, because he would take those people to Overtown. Because
Mm-hmm.
Overtown is one of those communities with a lot of homelessness, a lot of issues and challenges. And we had the same thing in Liberty City. And we would take them, and they would come with a new perspective on when they meet Johnny tomorrow. They understand a little bit more about what Johnny reality really is.
That's what's up, man. I wanna, because the topic today, I'm so happy both of you had the opportunity to make the show. I have to stop and say that. This has been a wealth of information. I really appreciate it. You both are amazing. We, of course, are talking about, immigration and specifically TPS amongst our Haitian brothers and sisters. And, so I want to say this: immigration policies can be confusing, and misinformation spreads really fast as we deal with social media. How do you help people understand what's actually true and what's their rights under the TPS? I mean, it's still temporary, right now up until, we said next year, February, but where can people go to get like correct information and really wrap their heads around this?
I think that we mentioned some of those things earlier where we talked about the work that some folks are doing, right? So the Haitian advocates are having these town halls, having legal practitioners talk about what's really out there, what options people should be looking at, with the next steps that they should be taking. So I think it's important, and I take my role very seriously when it comes to providing accurate, up-to-date information on immigration, whether it's through the legal clinics or sharing that information on these platforms, and just community education, right? And I also understand that in this time, TPS holders are extremely fearful of being too visible. So showing up to some of these events is actually probably really difficult for them in these times. And so those of us who are US citizens or who have permanent status here in this country. And again, especially my Black American brothers and sisters, also just we all need to step up. So we need to be correcting misinformation. We should want to get access to this information. And this is why I 100% support what Rep Aristide said earlier when he said that, you know, they're doing this, right? You know, folks who are not associated with this, right, in a direct way are showing up to these different types of events and town halls and info sessions and workshops saying, I need the information because I know someone here. I know someone there. I have a friend who's, you know, gardener needs this type of information. Tell me the information so I can go amplify that. Tell me the information so I can tell people where they need to go and who they need to call. So, in one way, we have a duty to be a shield, right, for people, but also a megaphone for those who can't speak up. So, when we hear narratives being portrayed that immigrants, these hardworking folks who are building communities, building families, investing in their communities, and contributing positively to their communities, when they're saying that those same folks are actually criminals and horrible people, we have to be the megaphone that says, that's not accurate. And tell the stories that we know to be true about people. And so if you have that privilege of citizenship or permanent status in this country, use it. All right. Misinformation is dangerous, especially when lives are on the line. And so make sure that, you know, you're not just focused on what's happening in WhatsApp and TikTok. Listen, these days, everybody's a lawyer. Everybody's a lawyer these days. So make sure you're getting information from, you know, either trusted legal experts or people who are working with those experts, right? So when Rep Aristide says something, you know that it's coming from organizations and practitioners that he has consulted with directly to understand that information. And let me tell you, he'll sit up in those, you know, I've been in town halls and info sessions where, you know, the rep will sit there. They're gonna be on their phone the entire time. They're just going to be inattentive. They probably walk outside. When I tell you, you would have thought it was a student in class. It's like he is focused. He's hanging on to every word that is being said. I watch you. I don't know if you noticed that, Pharisee, but I've been watching you because I'm just like, wow, like for somebody to sit there and really want to hear the information, not just have it to say that he checked off a box, but to actually sit there so that he can then be that messenger. That's what we all have to be, right? And these platforms, so Janae, Papa Keith, like, thank you for these opportunities because this is what we need. Folks who would not have otherwise showed up to any event that I go speak at, any, you know, community meeting that I go speak at, folks who would not show up to those things, they're showing up on your platform and now they have a little bit of information that they can use to share. So thank you for that.
Let me wrap up because I know our time is tight here. I'll just say this. Representative Marie Woodson put a bill that went through. If you're found playing games, telling people you could help them, and you pretending to be an attorney, you pretending to be an advocate for immigration, and because people take advantage of people. Some people are making money, they're making a living, promising people they could help them, they can't help them. Once that is reported, we will make sure, Papa Keith, I will get you that bill, get you that information. You and Janae, and y'all can let people know. Play with it if you want to, because Marie Woodson, and I supported her on it. We came as a team and backed her up. She said, I'm tired of people taking advantage of immigrants. They're charging the immigrants are so desperate. A form that could be filled out for maybe 10, 15, 20, $25 from a notary, they charge you almost $1,000. So people are playing those kind of games, taking advantage of these people that are really trying to make it with $15 an hour. Because you live in Miami-Dade County, you need to make like $100,000 a year. That's how expensive Miami-Dade County is. I mean, I'm dealing with it, so I know the expense is real. So these people that are coming here just got their TPS, just got the work permit, that's getting whatever job that's available. They'll take anything. Please, if someone is taking advantage of them, I want to make sure clearly you're gonna have a problem because we passed it. I will get it to Papa Keith. I will get you that information. I want to thank y'all for allowing me to come on it. When I saw Vanessa Joseph on there, I say, "There go my family." She gonna be. I was skinning and grinning. I was like that cat that ate the canary. I say, "Here she comes."
Oh man, you both are amazing. Yes, Janae, if you don't have any further questions,
Yeah,
um,
no, the final thoughts just from our guests on what they want people to take away, if there's anything coming up that they want to share or, something that people should know about before they, head out.
I'll start and I'll let Vanessa close out because she's a good closer. I think what people need to understand, I mean, I'll leave my office number. We can give you information. We can let you know who you need to call if you have a question. If you're in our district 107 or wherever you're at, there's a guy called Patrick Profit. The number is 305 488 5538. If you have a question, listen, we're here to work with our constituents. This is about constituent service. For me, it's about service leadership. It's not about I put the word service in front of leadership. I don't think in this job you're a leader until you decide to serve people. And that's what it's all about in our office. So if you need information, you don't know nothing, I don't want you to get yourself in trouble. I don't want you to run into an issue. You may not know the laws. You may need to know. We are doing the best we can to educate people. And I think that's important. And I will reach out, and I think they need to know this. We're going to reach out to Florida Lottery so they can give people I'm glad you have this platform because people need information. Where do I go? Who do I speak to? Because I don't want them to go get in touch with a predator and they take advantage of folks. So we want to do that. We will do everything we can with your platform and other platforms just to let people know. And I'm glad I'm glad Vanessa Joseph talked about the attorney talked about my work. I believe in being an educator, but I believe in being educated also. So if somebody brings me something I can learn from it, I take advantage because I think it's important for me to know. It's important for me to learn. What I consider a lifelong learner. I will leave everybody with this, and I'm gonna tell you, Janae Tate, I appreciate you. I'm grateful for what you do in the community.
All right,
Papa
thank you.
Keith, you my brother as always. I appreciate what you do, and I call Vanessa niece, and she might call me uncle.
I love
I
it, man. I
do.
love it.
I do. And I also I want to thank Rep Aristide for being on here. Equally excited to see you on here. And of course, Papa Keith and Janae for the invitation. It's always a pleasure to be with you all. I think I may have frozen on my camera. I'm going to try to turn it back on. But in the meantime, I just really want to highlight how important it is and for people with platforms to do exactly what you all are doing here, sharing the information, helping people to access the information that folks throughout the community really need. And I want to remind folks that the millions, the tens of millions of dollars that was spent in anti-immigrant messaging, don't listen to it, right? Because the reality is that you probably do know someone who is an immigrant, potentially a TPS beneficiary, and you might actually think the world of that person. Because it's interesting how many people actually call me and say, I got this person in my life who is at risk of potential deportation or is concerned about their status. Can you help them? They're like family to me.
Yeah.
And those stories, those are the only stories I've heard. I've thank God have never been in a situation where I've had to hear a story of anything but the positive that this person has been in their life. So it's so important for us to remember that when we talk about immigration reform, when we talk about policies to support the immigrant community, we're not asking for charity. It's not about a handout. But what it's about is making sure that folks have access to what I think is a moral necessity. because we all want to live safely. Imagine how easy it is for me to just go live in another state if I want to. I can go live in another country potentially. And we're telling people that in order to save their lives and that of their children, they should not be allowed to come to this one. So I just want people to remember that this isn't about charity. It's about dignity. It's about dignity for human beings, for people, and for ourselves and each other. So thank you so much for the opportunity. A pleasure to serve.
Thank you.
Thank you both so
We
much.
need a soundtrack because that deserves
yes.
applause.
Hope you enjoy again your evening. Thank you so much for being so gracious with your time. The information I'm sure is being absorbed. I'm on my Instagram live. We're on Facebook, so everybody from everywhere is taking this all in. Just again, a wealth of information from both of you. Thank you for your service as well, and all that you do to help to shape and make people's lives a lot better. It's really much appreciated. We want everybody to hang on as we do the aftermath and have a continued conversation about the conversation we just had. But thank you both so much.
Thank you.
And if you're looking at the screen, we shared those numbers. We had one for Rep. Aristide's office, and then also two from is it FIC.org? We shared that information.
FloridaImmigrantCoalition.org. So a lot of resources there, including resources for other organizations in the space. So it was just easier to share that one.
Got it. Yes. Thank you both. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Man. Good stuff.
Great show. Yes.
So kudos to you, Janae. Well, kudos to you. I was about to big you up first. Kudos for you for waving the flag and saying that we needed to bring up this topic on the podcast. So I'm so happy you did. I always feel it for our Haitian brothers and sisters. I feel it for everybody. I feel it for my Latin brothers and sisters, but I always feel it a little bit more for my Haitian brothers and sisters because I feel like they really get the brunt of things. And that's why I brought up that topic about y'all knew this was coming, right? You didn't, you didn't think they were just, pulling Latin people off of construction sites and pulling this one and that and the other. Like you knew, you had to have known this was coming, for and again, not even just Haitian, but African and other, other people from other islands, the Caribbean islands. I mean, I follow a social media page, and like almost every other week, they're deporting like 10 and 15 people back to Trinidad. Wow. So it's happening. It's happening not just today. It's just because there's so many Haitians here in South Florida. They end up being the bigger target, so to speak.
Yeah.
But they what we call it dipping. They dipping people like crazy.
I'm looking for, especially from the Black immigrant community and more so the Black American community, and any person of Caribbean or from the African diaspora who's a American citizen. Like, not that I condone violence, and I don't think it was violent in LA, but I'm looking for that version here. Like you saw how they were like the outrage, and the concern and like the visible like the display of like, hey, we're not going to allow this. Like the way the Mexicans and the communities in LA were like, nah, y'all
and New York.
New York too. New York and LA, they were like, y'all not just going to come sweep up our neighbors, our brothers and sisters, our family members, our church members. Like Miami, what are we waiting on? Y'all waiting for them to sweep up all the Haitians and the Jamaicans and Trinidadians and everybody? Like, come on,
they're about that bullshit, because here's what the problem is, and it's always been the problem here in South Florida. It's like what they were saying earlier. It's like, oh, that's not my problem. We, and I'm including myself in maybe certain degrees, obviously not this specific one because we having a conversation about it, but we just adapt this energy like that's not my problem. And I'm so happy that Miss Attorney Joseph had brought that up. Like, it's everybody's problem. It may not be you today with that particular thing, but it could be you tomorrow with something else. And then you would want people to advocate for you the same way. So that's why, you felt the need to have this, show, and I was happy that you did, to be able to hopefully, bring some light and come to some level of rescue for our people, because
Yeah,
it is all of our problems.
it
It really
definitely
is.
is. And we need to wake up and understand that, especially down here, like this affects us all, and it's not just a Hispanic problem. Like it is, they're coming for all of us. And also too, just from a rights perspective, I think it was Vanessa said, like, they came for this group, but I was silent. They came from this group and I was silent. Like, black people, y'all think we just gonna be y'all think we okay? Y'all
Not
think
at
they
all.
not gonna take y'all think they not gonna take something from us too? Like, come on. Like, first of all, they always take it from us, but we can see this administration doing something. I wouldn't be surprised. And I think that this is the time that we show solidarity so that they could see
Well,
a united front.
to your point, I think that's kind of like what birthright citizenship being revoked is. You know what I mean? It's
Mm,
almost you like, oh, that's not, but now it can be if you're in that stable. You know what I'm saying? Where you thought you were good and now you're not,
sure.
you know?
And that was the one,
So
if your parents was born in a different country, but you're born
right,
here, that you could still
right,
be deported.
right.
That's
So that
nasty work. It's
right, that
nasty work.
that would be me. I mean, I don't know if they'll go far to do that after all these years, but both of my parents are born in Trinidad and Tobago. You
You a
understand what I'm
birthright
saying?
citizen?
I don't know. I'm a straight up citizen. I don't know if they did that back in my days, you know what I mean, in the 70s or whatever. But I my citizenship is my citizenship, right? I'm a US citizen. I
Gotta
don't
be quiet for they
right.
watch this and wrap your ass up.
There's no asterisk on my on my on my birth certificate. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying the aesthetics of it is that both of my parents are from Trinidad. They came over to Brooklyn and had me, and I was born in America, and there you go. You know what I'm saying? So technically,
You're a
I
birth.
that would have been my situation as well.
Yeah, if
You
and
know?
I'm actually now interested to see like where they're starting that from, because here's the we don't know, like, honestly, and this is why it's important to stay informed, to stay watching podcasts like ours, like as we're trying to break down these conversations or bring people in to have these conversations, because like, who knows if they're like for all of time. Like, if your parents were born in a different country, like, then what? Like, I mean, that would start riots in the street. It would be blood of rolling down
Hear you,
27th Avenue.
Tontus. Hear you, Tontus. But watch your back, PK.
But it's just,
Hey,
here's the
I'd
thing.
probably gladly go now. Go back to Trinidad. Okay.
But the thing is this, I never thought I would see the day where they were like deporting people in this way. Like, this is just
Yeah.
mayhem. So
But
yeah,
to even add another layer to it, remember there's also the discussion, JT, about also deporting US citizens too.
yes, and
You know
sending
what I
them
mean?
to other countries.
So I mean, if that ain't the perfect, lineup of today could be you, tomorrow could be them, and you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, they
Yeah, that would be. That's what Tamila said. She would be that as well. She said both her parents were born in different countries. I think Jamaica and Bahamas, and she's born here. So that's crazy.
yeah.
And yeah, so I'm glad we had this conversation. Also, too, something that Rep Aristide said that I'm actually going to take in mind for our future coverage, especially on Hilo News. He was talking about the history of Black Americans and Haitians in Miami. And I think a lot of times people forget. Sometimes it feels like that divide. And of course, we know there's that ugly time in the 80s and early 2000s where there was a lot of fighting and name calling and
Yeah.
stereotypes for Black Americans to Haitians. And so but what he was saying about like that the fight that Carrie Meek was doing and working with Haitians and protecting them, and even William DC Clark has shown pictures of him standing up to the police and the National Guard and saying, no, I'm standing with my Haitian brothers and sisters here
Yeah.
in Liberty City or Little Haiti. And that's been something that's in our community. And I think that I want to make sure that I want to highlight that more, especially from a historic standpoint, because sometimes we may not remember that there was a time where we all stood together and we all were like, nah, you know, we're not gonna let this happen. Like for me, I even found out that the wet foot, dry foot policy was racist because my mom said it. She was like,
Yeah.
they let the Cubans come over here, but the Haitians, they want to send them back because they black. Like, to me, it's never been at least not in my household or in my community, it wasn't a us versus them or us versus Black Americans versus Haitian. It was like, they black, they just got an accent or they speak a different language or they black just like us. And this is our Haitian brothers and sisters. And I think we need to highlight that more because when stuff like this happen, I think we don't have that apathetic energy. It's not like, oh, that's a them, not me. It's like, oh, I know the history. I know the connection there. So if they coming for the Haitians or they coming for the Jamaicans or any black immigrant group, I need to stand there with them because I know the history. I know the bond that we have with, that other ethnicity. So I'm glad that he pointed that out. And I want to make sure that we highlight that more in our coverage.
Absolutely. That's good stuff. I mean, as people who came from the first independent Black nation, you could understand why others might want to diminish, Haiti and, because I even remember, growing up in New York, some of the abuse that Haitians used to go through as well, when I was growing up there. And I remember, coming to the rescue of a lot of our Haitian brothers and sisters because they couldn't afford the shoes. And New York is so like, what you got on? It's all about what you're wearing. And, and it was really tough on them, and people used to pick on them, and that's what you do, when you're young and, that's what you do. But, not understanding like that's not their choice, that wasn't a choice for them, and, we're kids and we don't know any better, but something inside of me just knew it wasn't right. It didn't feel right, I mean, I'm a big softy, but I was always big in size, so I would use my size to kind of like to
You told
stand
me you
up for
was that
people.
height at 10 years old? Like
Not that, but I've always been,
a taller than most kids.
yeah, for at each age, so I would use, my stature to try to defend, you know what I mean? But, that would only go so far till they find out I'm a softie.
And you know what? I have the Instagram live up and that audience over there, kudos to them. Shino and Gandhi have been some of the people chiming in, and Gandhi just made a point about Trump's wife would be deported. So
Yeah, that part.
so it's like
That
you
part.
trying to deport other people, but you would have that
Mhm.
issue too. Wait, PK, your light went. Oh, there you go. There we
Okay.
there we
My bad.
go.
I went to go look at my Instagram. My bad. Hi, everybody on Instagram Live. I appreciate y'all. A lot of people pass through. Whether you stick and stay, we grateful, man. Thank you for passing through.
Yeah. This
Yeah,
was a
good stuff.
great conversation. Like I said, glad we had it. And yeah, we got a great show coming up next week too.
We
And
sure
can
do.
we promo the finale? Because I feel like we should promote the finale. Like,
Okay. Yeah.
can we?
Good.
Can we?
Go.
Because we need to let them know that they need to save the date.
Yes. So, what is the date again, Shanae?
August 6th.
August 6th. All right. Thanks. August 6th, we're going to do a live show on August 6th, where if you are in the South Florida area, you can come and watch us do the podcast live with some very special guests that we're lining up. I'm not going to tell you the guests, but I can tell you it's going to be live. It's going to be at Duce Lounge in Pembroke Pines. I can tell you that much. But we're putting together a very nice show to end out this series. We take a little break and then we'll be back, the second week in September to do the next series. But we're really excited to put together a live show for you. We're working hard on it. We could use some sponsorship if you know anybody. We can big them up, show them love, and put them out on our advertisement. But yeah, so get ready to join us live at Duce Lounge in Pembroke Pines for our finale on August 6th. Thank you so much to our producer.
That is so A1. That's
I
the
mean,
producer.
yo.
Like, give the drummer some, give the producer some. Come on, Derica with the lower thirds. And then
Okay. Quick too.
I feel like this because I think this finale episode is also showing you guys, like, of course we talk about a lot of politics, but we also too are going to be talking about social issues. And I can I say what the topic? We don't have to say the guest, but can I say the
Right,
topic?
don't say the guest, but the topic for sure.
Yes, because this is gonna make y'all be like, oh, who they finna get. We are gonna be talking about the state of music in this Miami market. Like, what is the state of music right now? And so, as you know, Papa Keith has been in the music industry through radio and events and hosting for years. I did a little stint at iHeart, nothing too little yang yang or whatever. But we're having this conversation, and we're going to have some heavy hitters in the building talking about what they think the state of the Miami music scene is in South Florida right now, what happened, what needs to happen, what's the problems. We want to have that conversation, and we want to
Yeah.
have it live. So you definitely want to be in the building for that, because we're gonna have some really, really, really good guests. Who y'all think we should have, or who y'all think we gonna have? Somebody said
In
Trick
the
Daddy.
comments. Somebody said Trick Daddy. Oh, that's
Yes,
Alden.
somebody said Trick Daddy. Who y'all think should be in this conversation? Who y'all think should be a part of this? Because I think it's
The
important. And I
Miami
think that
music scene.
the Miami music scene, the state
Yeah.
of the Miami music scene. So yeah, that's gonna be a fun one. Oh, they're saying Trick.
Mhm. We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see.
Trina, okay. Tauntus for selfish reasons. Trina, okay, mom.
Now my mama saying Trina.
Rick Ross, Rose. That'll be a good one. That's what's up.
Yeah. So that's gonna be a good one, live and in person. So make sure
You know
y'all
what
pull
it's
up. It'll
reminding me of?
be
You
free too,
remember the
right, PK? Free
Yeah,
to,
yeah,
to,
it's
to
free.
enter. Just gotta
Absolutely. And
register. We'll have an Eventbrite for you guys to register.
yeah, there's food there, it's a vibe there, drinks, bar, the whole shebangy bang. So just make yourself at home, but it's free for you to come in. You know what it's reminding me of? You remember when we did your Ted Lucas, Luke. Nice, Tammy.
This was a good
Remember
one.
when we did your I don't know, I don't think it was a podcast.
My
It was a
crowdfunding
podcast.
campaign at your
Ye-
cigar bar.
yes, at the cigar bar. It's giving me them
Wow.
vibes. Yeah, that was a vibe.
Oh, yeah, that was a
That was a
vibe. And I've been
vibe.
wanting to do something like that again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. All right.
yeah, this is gonna be real, real fun.
Shout out
So
to brother Sizway C, man. Uh,
yeah.
he's an artist, a Trini artist, as a matter of
Oh,
fact.
okay.
And he served. So when you see when we talking about people who
Oh,
come here,
yeah.
immigrants who come here, but they have service
Contributing to
in
society.
America. Exactly. You know what I mean?
Look,
Shout out to Sizway C.
look, I'm not sleeping on
Flow rider.
Billienberg. Why you laughing at Iceberg? He could be a part of the conversation. We need some women. Who are some women? I know we said Trina, but who are some women who are voices in the Miami music scene?
That's gonna be a tough one. Respectfully. 22 years, Sizway. Big up. Let's see. They ain't quiet now in the comments, huh?
They like, they like,
Trina, Trina 2, Trina.
Trina 3.
We talked about Young Miami.
Oh yeah, we did. I actually thought about that, Derica. Some new artists, maybe getting some new artists to be a part of that conversation, because they're part of
Yeah,
the new Miami
talk
music scene.
talk
I
about
wish
their
we could
perspective.
get JT. I wish.
Mhm.
I am a stan. I went to go see her in a club, a ghetto ass club in Charlotte. I was like, I don't even care. I'm too old to be here, but I'm finna sing
Oh man.
sideways to I'm sideways.
Oh man, that's what's up. We had a great show. Thank you everyone for tapping in with us, and of course sticking and staying for the aftermath. And yeah, next show it's gonna be pretty interesting.
Somebody said
We
Ball
have
Greasy on Instagram. Gandhi said Ball Greasy. That could be a good one.
of
Tara
course.
Trinice. Okay. Well, we got look. Y'all may have said some people that we've already booked. So you'll never, the only way you'll know is if you get to come, and then we'll record it. PK, do we want to do it live, or do we want to do it later live? Like,
No, we should do it live, man. Let's do it
no, I'm
live.
saying like streaming it live so people go watch it at home.
Yeah, just like how
Okay.
we do the show right now. Yeah, stream it live. Let them see.
Oh, okay. Well,
Do
we
it on
want y'all to come
StreamYard.
in.
Yeah,
We want y'all to come in, but you
yeah.
could definitely watch it at home in real time, like
We still getting
like
Phoenix them to do it.
we'll talk, because I'm trying to make somebody who worked for ESPN do it for us.
Okay, I know who that is. Sage.
I'm
Oh
trying to
man.
I'm trying to get an Emmy award with maybe a combination of
Yeah.
them too.
He's gonna need some help for sure.
Yeah.
That's what's up. All right, sounds good. Well, thank you. We done?
Yeah, we done. We done.
Yeah,
We told the
good
people
stuff
earlier how to
today.
follow us on
Hmm.
social media. So y'all just rewind it and go get that information.
You
But
know
also
Derica
too,
on it. You know Derica on it. Look at that. She already stopped the other one. She like, nope, got this. Bam. See?
follow us. Also too, like Papa Keith said, if you want to be an advertiser or sponsor for that upcoming event, let us know. We definitely would love to have you. You're gonna have an in-person opportunity to activate and online. So 2 for 1. Come in, be a sponsor. Gandhi, what? Let us know. Y'all got a restaurant, Gandhi. Come be a sponsor. Miss
shout,
Pinder.
shout out to Gandhi. You saying, man? Shout out my Bahamians.
Hey, somebody said Dochi. Oh, y'all reaching big. How about y'all?
Oh, you going for Grammy BET award winners. Okay, no problem.
I'm
You
glad
never
y'all think
know.
so highly of us.
Yes, mom, take that day off. Pull up.
Yes, come through.
Yes. Your mama don't miss no events. I love it.
Yeah, that's the ride or die.
She the tribe. Janae, always a pleasure. Queen, thank you so much.
Thank you, PK. You said I had to take them glasses off. They was hurting my eyes. I don't wear glasses.
I'm over this. Your hour and a half time limit done. All right, y'all. Peace.
Good night.